Hello, and welcome to another episode of Shampoo and Booze. This is episode number 15 at shampooandbooze.com.
Okay, so if you're listening to this, I feel like since this is kind of a relatively new podcast, we just need to let people know what this is.
What is this?
Just in case they don't want to listen to it, they don't have to. So we're two people. We have a vacation rental that we bought and fixed up, and we just bought another house that we're fixing up to do an Airbnb. So that's what we're doing every week. We're kind of just documenting for ourselves the work it takes to run an Airbnb business.
Yes.
You know.
A vacation rental in the mountains.
Right. That's
Airbnb
correct.
Business.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
And if you want to see what our current rental looks like, you can go to shampooandbooze.com, and there's a link to that rental, so you can just kind of see what we're talking about.
So let's start out with our numbers.
So it's good. It's a month of February. Where we live, February, the wintertime, supposed to be a no-go, where a lot of people that own these vacation rentals even close them down.
Basically, so they don't have to work on them or pay utilities.
Right, and we even talked to one vacation owner last week that was really negative and was like, oh, February, you're lucky if you get Valentine's Day. Well, anyway, in February, we have every single weekend booked.
Yeah.
And we have someone booked for next week during the week. So we've actually booked about $1,800 of business for February, which is great, you know?
Well, it pays our mortgage and it pays the utilities. And more. I mean,
so our mortgage on that house is $1,100.
Right.
So, you know, and its utilities is $150. So we're still making money. So again, this is our first winter doing this rental.
Right.
And I was kind of like, okay, we're just not going to make any money, but
that hasn't been true.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been good.
Why do you think that is, Ryan?
Why do I think what?
Why do you think we're renting and other people aren't?
Well, number one, the most obvious thing, a lot of people shut down. So clearly they can't rent. So there's less of a inventory for people to choose from.
Right.
I think also we're not a cabin, like we're a little farmhouse. So it's almost like a different genre of rental.
Right. Like our place, like some people have more cabins where it's like, it's a perfect place to stay in like the
summer
spring
cabin.
And summer, where it's more like you're going to be spending more of the time outside than inside, and it's more just like a place to sleep.
Yeah,
we've done ours to where you would want to go and like hole up even. Yeah, like even if you want like what do they call them, staycations, where you just like go an hour away and you just want to hang out and enjoy just somewhere else.
I think Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that because I remember last year we invited some friends from D.C. to come stay to basically test out the house. We're like, if you were coming from D.C., which you are, what would you need and want, whatever. And there was a huge snowstorm, and they just stayed inside for 4 days, and they actually stayed an extra day. They were like, we want to stay longer. So that was the perfect kind of, test run for the winter where we're like, okay, we have it set up so that people can watch Netflix, do the Wi-Fi, cook,
I think the other thing, too, is, not all other vacation rental owners around us don't book. There's a couple we keep an eye on, and they're fully booked, too.
Yeah.
I think the difference is there's a lot of cabin owners that run their own websites.
Yes.
Like, they started in the 90s. They had built their websites before there was any kind of service like HomeAway or Airbnb, and so they've always had their own website, and that's what they rent through. And I find those, it's cool to have your own website because that way you aren't paying booking fees to another company.
Sure, it's
but at the same time, I find it's harder to find you, and I don't know. I think that might be one reason why people don't book as much, because they're so invested in their own website.
Well, the guy we talked to last week that we were kind of ranting about, it's funny because I didn't say this clearly because he's our competition, but I was like, why aren't you on Airbnb? Are you crazy? The fact that you just have, but then I know why, because it's the you can't charge taxes there, number one, and number two, they take a fee.
Yeah.
So he doesn't want that, you know.
But and I think too, it's just kind of like, you know, this is the way I've always done it.
Yes,
so
of course. It's very
why
old
am I
school.
going to do it another way? And
it's like people who don't have cell phones or something.
I mean,
you know?
I mean, we're just starting out, but I mean, we're always trying to be very conscious of like how things are changing or different ways to do things. I mean, one reason why we're doing this podcast is hopefully other, you know, hosts would comment and we learn from them because
absolutely,
you know.
Well, people have had experiences, you know, that
Yeah.
we haven't had, and you know, I always learn from our other blog, Scavenger Life. We learn so much stuff from people, like crazy amounts of stuff. So
I'm psyched that February is. Even if we don't book any more for February, I mean, it's just the beginning of the month. Even if just the bookings we have, I'd be happy. So I love going into a month fully, you know, booked well, and hopefully we can book more.
So because it's like tax time, Airbnb sent this like end of the year breakdown. Like you can log in and see like how much you made, how many nights you had booked. But my only issue is not with Airbnb, but we booked the other half of our bookings through VRBO, and I would love to see how many nights we had booked total through VRBO and Airbnb. And I couldn't see any information from VRBO that's like, these are how many nights you had booked.
Really?
These are I couldn't find that anywhere on it's VRBO/HomeAway.
Right.
So if anybody knows that information, I would love to.
I mean, we could also probably send them a message too.
Yeah.
To their help desk.
Yeah, I could probably ask.
There must be that.
Because it was so cool that Airbnb did that. Like, they just gave you a quick breakdown of the months and the year and the amount. I'm like, that's awesome. It's such good information to know. Yeah. It was, I think, 129 nights through Airbnb booked. Wow. Okay, so this week we had friends staying in our farmhouse. And they were up here mostly to visit their daughter and their grandkids. But we kind of bartered for some work. We're learning, this is like our other business, learning how to do Amazon FBA.
Yeah, I mean, we have bought these vacation homes with profits we've made from our eBay business, where we just scavenge and sell things online, and we're trying to learn how to sell things on Amazon too. Yeah. So it was cool. We could kind of barter. We gave our friend a place to stay for a week, and then he gave us 2 days where he came to our home, and we went through. We had big piles of stuff, and he helped us pack it up and send it in.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah. So it's cool to be able to do that, where you're like, come on down, hang out, have a vacation, like family time, and also like
makes me feel as if I'm a big shot, you know.
Well, you're not, so
like that.
So don't think that
I'm a total big shot.
No. So that was fun. And then this weekend, so yesterday was Friday, and we had a dad with his 2 young sons. I think they were like 9 and 10. And their no, she wasn't little, the yellow lab dog check in. And they were so cute. Yeah. It was like boys' weekend. Yeah. It was adorable.
Yeah, it's cool. You know, I mean, again, it's the winter time, so it's cold.
Yeah.
But, you know, he wanted to get away. They're going to go to, like, where do we live? There are caverns.
The caverns. And
there's hiking. He says he was going to go hiking. Now's a perfect time. It's when it's like 30 to 40 outside.
Yeah.
You put on a coat, it's perfect to go hiking.
Yeah, actually, I walked outside and it's super sunny and getting warm, so it's actually the perfect day for them to go hiking. And I just wanted to note that because the guy messaged us through Airbnb this morning and just said, everything's great. So then, you know, obviously I didn't see the other message that went out, and I was like, oh yeah, Jay's really good at messaging people, like the day, you know, whatever 12 hours since they've been there, just be like, just checking to see if everything's okay.
That's my job, Ryan.
I know, that's good. I'm glad you do that, because I completely forgot.
Yeah, I mean, just like the morning after the first night, I just like to touch base, and as long as everything's okay, then I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Like, there's no like weirdness that they're like,
I mean, just people like to feel like they're being taken care of. And
I think for a while we weren't saying anything because we were nervous.
Yeah,
it's true, because we were just like, if we don't hear from them, everything's fine.
Well, you know, because we're so nervous, like, oh my God, they're probably hating all these things, and like if I ask them, they're gonna say, oh, we need all these things changed.
Right.
It's
But
just,
really, if people were like that, they would let you know no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't take you asking them.
and if there is a problem, I'd rather just know about it and just own it.
Right.
And you know, we've
fix it.
We've had issues that people have complained about that we've gone and fixed, and really at the end of the day we just have to own them, you know.
Yeah.
Like a broken lock or
Yeah,
you know,
just
something
random
like that.
things like that where, like, if we need them to tell us,
Right.
essentially. So,
And then as far as just the future, it's reservations. You know, our
Yeah.
spring and summer really haven't kind of been booked up yet. And this, I mean, again, we did book last spring and summertime, but we started in March.
Yeah.
So this is the first time we've kind of started from the winter time on. I guess people are just waiting to book for the summertime, like summer vacations till later in the spring.
I think so, yeah.
But,
I think we're also being a little bit paranoid because we're like, the summer should be booked by now. It's February 2nd or whatever. You know, it's the first week of February, but I don't think that that's how it goes. I also think, and we know this from last year, Airbnb, people book last minute. I mean, they'll be like, it's Wednesday and they're booking for the weekend, you know, so, or whatever.
You know, and again, we say that there's a couple of other cabins we follow in our area who have been open for longer than we have, so we just kind of keep an eye. And like one of them is booked pretty crazily all through the spring and summertime already, and we don't know if that's because they've just been around for a while,
Right,
and so people
they have
are
returned
rebooking.
people.
And it's so hard to judge by the price too, because
Yeah.
it's so interesting. They're one of the cabins where their prices, it's like, it's this base price, but if you have more than 2 people, it's this price. Plus there is a fee for booking, there is a cleaning fee. It's just
And then there's like a fee for linens sometimes.
it's hard to compare our price to their price because we just have a single flat
We just have
fee.
like a base price.
Our fee is our fee, and we just eat at whatever costs are involved in it.
Right.
And so it's hard to compare and
Yeah,
between the
exactly.
two
So, you know, that's the hard thing too, especially when they're booked all the time. You're like, well, I'm not charging all that extra stuff, so why aren't we booked all the time too? So something that we noticed just over the past year is that the way at the farmhouse our driveway, you're driving straight towards the house and it just goes into the driveway and the road turns off to the left. And people seem to be very confused about that, so they'll miss the driveway all the time, even though the number is posted on our mailbox.
yeah, I mean there's a mailbox, but yeah.
Right. So obviously for months and months we've been saying we need to get a sign. We need to get a very clear sign that's just very obvious that it says this is the farmhouse. So finally we went to this sign place that's, you know, a couple towns over, and we've been going back and forth with this sign guy and we're figuring out you know, what it's going to look like and how much it's going to cost. And it's just funny to me because I thought this was going to be like the quickest thing, and it's taken like a month to do it because it's almost like working with a contractor where you're going back and forth, figuring out a time to meet and then figuring out what you like. And
I think too, because we're asking very specific questions.
Yeah.
And, you know, and maybe he's dealing with other kinds of businesses that just kind of
that
like
don't ask questions.
approve of things. I don't know, but it's getting done. It's gonna be about $300, right?
Yeah, it's $300, and that includes them installing it, which is very helpful.
But you know, it's like a nice sign, like it's a routed piece of, I don't know.
It's
what
like
it is.
it's like resin, some kind of resin, and then it'll have like, I think you wanted like gold leaf letters, but we needed them to be reflective. So he said that he's able to do that. We don't know what that's going to look like, but anything's better than what we have now, which is nothing.
Yep.
The other thing too that I bought on Amazon was I bought a bunch of reflectors for the driveway so especially at night you can see like the line of the driveway. I'm hoping that'll help people to like, this is the driveway. Like it's really obvious.
Yeah.
So it's what's good is, like we were saying, we hear that from, I would say like 30% of people say, oh, we missed it. Most people don't. They're fine. But 30%, and people who have driven in the dark they're like, oh, we totally did not know where we
Right.
were going. So we're trying to.
We also need to that last girl said on Google Maps that it's telling them to turn farther down.
But I checked Google
we should
Maps.
check that,
I mean, I when we bought the house, I specifically
Okay,
told Google
stop.
Maps.
Have you checked recently?
Let's check right now.
Okay.
I mean, it's just so clear on Google Maps. That's our house.
Okay.
I mean,
Cool.
I don't know what kind of GPS they have that's telling them to go further.
Right. Maybe it's a different GPS.
Yeah.
But that is a cool thing that Ryan has figured out.
Yeah,
that,
so what you can do is when we first bought this house, actually I'll even back up further. When we moved to this area, we lived in Jay's dad's house in the next town over, and friends would come visit, but the road was labeled wrong because these are rural roads, so sometimes they're not labeled properly. So I emailed Google, like, you have these roads labeled wrong and people are getting lost, and they fixed it. And so when we bought this farmhouse, it was the same issue. It was saying our number was like way further up the road, and I got them to fix it, and they did. So clearly that worked from what I can see. And then the third house that we just bought was the same. It was showing it like half a mile up the
Right.
road at a different house,
Right.
and they fixed that too.
But bottom line is, so you can check for at your own place, and if the map isn't correct, you can just send them, say, please change
Yeah,
this, and they normally do.
If you Google how to do it, it'll show you because it's not obvious. So it is helpful, especially if people are getting lost. So I said last week that I sent out a bunch of info to wedding venues, and I was actually emailing a bunch of design blogs too. And basically this is like cold calling people. If you've ever had a job like that, you're just calling, people out of the blue. But I think it's good to do sometimes because you never know what's going to come out of it. You never know who's going to respond. So one venue got back to me. It's actually the Caverns, which is they have a wedding venue, but it's obviously like millions of people visit them and stuff. So they actually asked me for more rack cards. So I mailed them more rack cards, which is awesome. And then this design blog got back to me. They didn't get back to me to tell me they were going to feature our house or anything, but she said, well, the girl who's in charge of submissions was like, I used to vacation in your town with my grandma, and we used to go to the Caverns. And so that was kind of cool that I made that connection with someone. That doesn't mean they're going to feature us, but it was cool that, someone knew our little town, someone in New York
cool.
or wherever. I thought that was awesome.
The other thing is, there was a commenter on the blog last week that I mentioned Facebook, and we personally don't use Facebook just because I don't really care what people in my high school are doing, and I just there are other places that we connect with our friends, but they were mentioning about having Facebook for
our rental.
Our rental.
I made a Facebook for our rental, a Facebook page for our rental when we first started. But honestly, really, I hate Facebook so much because I do not like the interface. Anytime I'm on it and I want to try to do something, I'm like, I can't even figure out how to do this.
So what happens if it means that we'll get more people to
do you
vote?
really think, you know what?
I don't know.
Here's the deal. If you want to work on the Facebook page, I'll gladly give you the login and let you do little updates and whatever it is you think you need to do and get bookings through that.
Can I ask you a question?
If I never have to log into Facebook again in my life, I'll be happy. Yes.
Do you think that our current page is good? I mean, or should we just take it down altogether? Like, I guess it's my thing. Either we're going to have a page that's presentable and good, or we should just delete it. And it shouldn't be, some half-ass page, that's all.
I don't even know if I can find it.
Well, anyway, we would love to hear from other people if, having a Facebook page, if you're getting direct bookings from that,
Yeah.
But I could imagine some, people use Facebook. It's pretty popular.
I mean, obviously,
and they're renting in Shenandoah,
Okay, so let's talk about the newest house that we're renovating, shall we?
Sure.
So the power got taken down by the power company. The roofer came and built the overhang. And now I called the power company yesterday, and she said either yesterday or Monday they're putting the power back on.
Right, because basically it's a house built in 1973.
Yeah.
Beautiful kind of like A-frame house. It
Yeah,
has
very
a
cool.
Beautiful view of the mountains. But it hasn't really been touched in 20 years.
Yeah.
So the roof needs to get it replaced, and we decided to put a roof on. And, I too am just feeling like we're kind of getting a renovation started on a house is like getting this, it's a machine started, and it takes a while. Like you're calling and it's like it starts grumbling, and I feel like the wheels are finally starting to turn. The roofer has started, and he's starting to notice that there's like bad wood in places,
right? Which we knew.
Yeah. And I mean that's the thing. I can't believe when people buy like $25,000 houses and they're like, I'm just going to fix it up in like 2 weeks. It's amazing to me because when you have a house that's old, I mean, things just happen.
Yeah.
And it takes time. So,
and if your house was $25,000, that means you didn't do anything to it and it's in horrible shape.
Right.
So.
Or its previous owner.
The previous owner didn't. Yeah.
But anyway, so he's starting to do that, and that's important to us. Like by the end of this process, we want to have touched every part of the house and know that everything's good, that there's no secret problems that are going to cause problems later. We would rather know all the problems now, when it's not being on the market, get it ready, then put it on the market, and then just have it go forever.
Yeah, so that's what happens, hopefully, when you do a gut. Is because you're exposing everything pretty much. You are understanding like what the issues are and fixing those issues. Like when we bought our house, it was a foreclosure. It had a lot of issues. We just went in and fixed them all, and now they're fixed, and you just keep an eye on everything,
I mean, like if there's going to be a problem, I want to know about it now, and so that's the thing. And I guess I just worry about if we were to have done a quick job. I just feel like
problems still exist then.
Yeah, well, I would just feel like I didn't know what was wrong. It's with the house, if anything.
Right.
And then, have someone in there, and a pipe burst or something, or,
Well, it's like when we first looked at the roof, I thought, we'll probably just clean the roof because it's really dirty. And then we heard from the guy who managed the rental before, and he's like, oh, this roof needs to get replaced. And we're like, okay, we were thinking of doing that anyway. Let's just do it. So that is good forever.
Yep.
It costs more, it takes more time. But another thing that was slowing things down was I wrote a check to the roofer something like 15 days ago. And it got lost in the mail during the snowstorm. And his mailbox got knocked over in the snowstorm. And it just was this crazy thing. So we have to cancel that check at the bank and write another one. So weird things happen like that where you're like, okay.
Yeah. He's good with it.
No, he's great. He started working, so it was awesome.
He'll get his money.
Yeah, you'll get your money. So tonight, we're actually going out to a fancy dinner to thank two of our friends who watched the farmhouse over the summer. And one of them took new photos of our farmhouse.
Right. I mean, and they did more than watch it. I mean, they actually ran
it.
Our business while we were gone. So we were gone for almost 6 weeks. And
a long time.
Check people in, check people out. They cleaned the place. It's great. We were in Amsterdam, and we were just texting our friends, and talking in real time. It's like, what an amazing world.
It was incredible.
And so we thought we'd take him out to eat, and we said, pick a place. And he's like, oh, I picked this super fancy place. We're like, whoa.
It's really funny. I was laughing because we were trying to schedule it since the fall, right? It's February now. We're trying to schedule a time with everybody. And finally Jay said, yeah, pick a place and a time and tell us and we'll be there. So he picks one of the most expensive restaurants in the area. It's like, okay, yeah,
Why
got
not?
it. No, but what's cool is we would never treat ourselves like that really. So it's kind of fun to do it with friends.
Yep. And we're going to be gone again for a month coming up, so we need them to
do it again. So we're like,
I mean, we do pay them as well.
Yeah, we pay them. But
so it's not just the meal, but these are things that are nice to do for people.
Yeah, just especially
you appreciate.
Yeah, if you appreciate people who do an outstanding job, not just they did what they were supposed to do.
I think if they decided they didn't want to run our place for us while we're gone, we don't really have a plan B, so that's why it's important that they're happy and that feeling they're getting paid well and that they're enjoying it. And
Exactly. So we do have one voicemail or half a voicemail to listen to. And if you want to call in and leave a comment or a question, you can call the voicemail line. It's 540-407-8486. And we don't answer the phone or anything. It's just a Google voicemail. It goes right to voicemail, and you have 3 minutes to leave a message.
Hi, everybody. This is Eve Everett. Just had a couple quick comments. First is about Shampoo and Booze, and I love that podcast. I wondered if you guys ever watched the show Grand Designs from overseas and from the BBC. It's essentially people being their own general contractors and the mayhem that follows. Hopefully you have better luck than a lot of them.
Okay, so the other half was about our other podcast, so we don't have to play that. Yeah, so that's funny that you mentioned Grand Designs, because we watch a bunch of shows on the BBC, and Jay is...
I just started downloading some of their old episodes.
Old episodes.
Yeah, it's once they download, we love to check those things out. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine...
Yeah.
Trust me, I can imagine there being shows where it's showing... people's great intentions of renovations and having them run into the ground. So
yeah,
but it's like we always do with everything. It's just like step by step, and be willing to fix anything it's broken.
Yeah, if you got a good deal on the house too, that helps.
Yeah.
So I'm interested because things cost a lot of money in the UK, so I'm sure it's a different level, but that should be fun to watch.
Okay, thanks for being with us. If you would like to join the conversation, you can go to shampooandbooze.com. That's where all the links we talked about or other people will be.
And that's it. Shampooandbooze.com. Bye.